Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gentle Yoga. Go ahead and find a seat on your mat, maybe propped on a little bit of an elevated prop, legs in any position that's comfortable for you. Stretch is joining us today. Anyway, go ahead and close your eyes. Let your body slowly relax. Feel the back sides of your legs that are touching the floor. The feet, the sits bones, and let your spine be nice and straight, arms relaxed, softening, pulling our attention inside, eventually landing on an awareness of the breath. Scanning the body, watching it settle, an intention to set everything else aside for this time, allowing us to be present during our practice, to honor our bodies, and also to let our thoughts slow, even still, for short time periods. Our mind will always bring up a thought or a feeling or an emotion, guiding yourself back to your breath when that happens. And just noticing if the breath is slowing any. Notice if you're extending or lengthening your breath. And see if you can continue to soften the body, soften the muscles. We'll let the next breath roll in a little more deeply, aware of how the expansion feels as we increase the depth once again. And today we'll move into our pranayama, which is box breathing. If you imagine the four sides of a box, a square or a rectangle, two of the sides will be pauses, and two of the sides will be the respiration part, the inhale and the exhale. Pauses will come in between. And so as you're ready to start, begin thinking of your breath as a four-part breathing pattern. And continue for a few moments. When you're ready to release your pranayama, slowly let it go. Let your breath begin to even out side to side once again. And as we continue to inhale, let's focus at the top of the chest for a few breaths. We can even reach our hand here right under the collarbone. Sending breath to this space in the lungs, really opening it up. One more of these. And on the exhale, we'll release the hand and let's flutter open the eyes. We'll begin to wiggle the fingers, the pads, the knuckles, the bases of the fingers, maybe making a fist. We can start to wiggle our toes as well. Still sitting up nice and tall. And let's bring both of our feet straight out in front of us. We can lean back to draw the feet right in front. Knees are bent to the sky. Soles of the feet are on the floor. Let's hold on to either the bottom part of the leg or to the floor, the ground, and let's let the knees rotate from side to side. Let's bring the knees back to center, straighten the legs, and let's start to move the toes some more. Wiggling, pointing and flexing. Staying in staff pose, let's press into both sits bones. Set them side by side, even with each other. Feet are hip distance apart. Knees can be bent or straight as the legs reach out in front of you. Let's inhale, lifting our arms to shoulder height and reaching our fingertips towards the side walls. Good. Let's now flatten the palm, facing it towards the ceiling, and we'll bring just the pinky toward us. Then we'll bring the ring finger, the middle finger, the pointer finger, and the thumb. We'll make a fist and we'll continue on up the joints of the arm, bending the wrist, bending the elbow, bringing the hands to the shoulders. We'll press the arms, straightening them out in front of us, palms facing away. And then we'll flatten the hands, face the palms up. And we'll do the same thing, starting with the pinky. We'll draw that finger toward us, then the next, then the third, the fourth, tuck in that thumb, roll the wrists, bend the elbows, hands come to the shoulders as the elbows lift. We'll press towards the ceiling as we straighten the arms this time. Flatten the hands back behind us and do the same thing, drawing each finger in slowly, one at a time, making a fist. And then bending the wrist, bending the elbows, and we'll move the shoulders, pressing the hands back out to the sides once more, palms facing forward. Let's exhale, lowering the arms down by our side. We'll lean back on our hands, bend up through each knee once more. From here, with the feet hip distance apart, and the hands either flat palmed or tented, and you can even try some blocks behind you and just leaning back, hands on the blocks. That kind of elevates the torso a little more. Just be careful that you're back far enough with the blocks in the hands that your shoulders are lowered down on the back. on the back of the spine, the back of the rib cage. From here, pressing into your hands and one hip and foot, lift the opposite foot and bring it to the knee. If it's easier, come from a staff position and fold your one foot across the opposite leg and bend up through that knee. We're coming into the piriformis stretch in this way. And from here, we can rock our body from side to side. Breathing. Letting that muscle that wraps around the lifted foot hip stretch. We'll bring our knee back to the middle or center and we'll release that leg. And let's move to the other side, coming into your piriformis stretch in a way that works for your body, keeping your spine lifted, pressing into your sits bones, but you're sort of rocked towards the back of the hip bone. And then if you'd like, you can come into your rocking motion from side to side. Maybe find a juicy spot for that hip. Stay there for a few breaths. Supporting your torso, able to keep the length through the spine here. We'll bring the knee back to center on this side and release the legs. And let's come up onto a high kneel. We're headed into gate pose. If a high kneel doesn't work for you, you can stay seated on your sits bones and maybe come into a butterfly shape. From here, we'll extend one leg out to the side, centering our hips over the knee that's right underneath. And we want to feel a little stretch in this side, inside thigh. We can relax our arms down by our side. On the next inhale, let's lift just the opposite hand up towards the ceiling. Exhale, we'll release lower hand, sort of slides along that leg. And we'll stay here for a breath. Keeping our shoulders stacked. Let's inhale to come straight up and down. Arm and hand reaching for the sky. Exhale, we'll release that hand and let's draw the extended leg back underneath us, coming back onto a kneeling high kneel before we switch to our gate on the other side. Find your evenness in the hips, front to back, left to right. We'll inhale, opposite arm lifts, releases upward. Exhale, lean over. Inhale, we'll come straight up and down. Exhale, releases that arm, and we'll pull that knee in. Switching to the other side, we'll add on to that flow. An inhale lifts the opposite arm. Exhale, lateral stretch. Breath here. Let the next inhale lift the arm straight up and down. We'll exhale, plant the palm. Top hand comes to the hip. We can stay here or inhale, lifting the leg. Balancing on the knee and the hand. Exhaling to release. We'll bring the knee in and then press ourselves up off that hand, coming back to the high kneel. Extend the opposite leg out to the side. Inhale, arm lifts and reaches. Exhale, lateral stretch. Breath in between. Inhale to lift towards the sky. Exhale, releases, palm plants. We can inhale, opposite leg up. Exhale, release, draw that knee in, press up off the mat, and come back to that high kneel. Let's come back down to seated. We've moved the spine laterally. We'll stretch back into that staff pose shape, pressing through both heels. Let's inhale, bringing our arms up overhead. Exhale, we'll release the hands, release the arms. Let them come down to shoulder height and see if you can reach through the tips of your fingers, keeping the back straight. Core is working here. Press your heels into the floor, calves, tops of the thighs, hips. The next inhale, lift straight up. Exhale, releases the hands down by your side. Let's move both feet one direction and just sort of make a pinwheel shape, or maybe have your legs and heels in a little tighter. We'll turn towards, let's just turn any direction actually. No matter which one you choose, you'll get a stretch. Let's turn away from the leg with the lifted hip. That'll be more comfortable. Let's inhale, lifting the opposite arm up, back, around, and down, keeping the hand right on the knee, opposite hand on knee. Sitting up nice and tall. Inhale. Exhale, come into the twist just a little more deeply. Maybe rotate the chin to the chest and let your eyes look in your peripheral vision all the way from the top to the bottom. We'll do that a few times, moving the eyes over here. Let your eyes come back to center. We'll let our chin come back to center, and we'll release, moving to the other side in our twist. Both feet go the opposite way. Opposite hand to knee. Inhale, back arm lifts up, back and down. You can use the block again here. Sit up nice and tall. Inhaling, really lifting the spine, the crown of the head. Reaching, creating space throughout the torso, all around the organs. And then exhaling to release towards that back shoulder. Release the chest, the chin, and the eyes. Let's start to look in the periphery, gazing up, and then moving all the way down. A few times here. Bringing the eyes to center, the chin to center, the chest to center. And we'll move the spine back around to the front, or the chest back around to the front, legs back in any position. Let's now come to table for cat-cow, so we can undulate our spine, arching and rounding, finishing the last 2 of the 7 movements since we started our practice together today. Imagine your navel lifting, tucking as much as possible, moving through neutral, and then hanging towards the floor as much as possible. Letting the head and tailbone Rock back and forth, stopping wherever you'd like. And then bringing the spine to neutral. Let's press into the left side of the body and the right hand, and we'll start to lift that right knee and curl the spine as we draw the knee to our nose. Let's exhale, releasing the knee towards the floor and then reaching the foot back behind us, toes pointing, extending the foot. And let's keep moving. Knee to nose, and then extending the leg and foot back behind, moving at your pace. Finding about 5 curls and stretches, slowing it down, moving with the breath. And then releasing that knee and letting the hips sway or rock back and forth while the knees stay in one spot. You can move the head opposite of the knees. Press into each shoulder side to side. We'll bring the hips back to center. This time we lean on the right side and press into that left hand. We'll start to lift and curl under to draw the left knee towards our nose. And then we'll extend that leg long back behind us. Bring our gaze to the top of the mat. And then we'll continue this at our own pace. Strong in the core. Becoming stronger. Exhale, releases the knee, and let's shift the hips from side to side. We'll bring the hips back to center. Let's start to rock slowly forward and backwards. And then we'll come back to our table. We'll press into the left side once again. Left knee, left hand, right hand, and we'll lift the right knee just above the ground, just hovering that right knee. We'll then turn the knee out to the side and lift the knee and the foot to the hip height with the left side very grounded, and the breath helping you lift and lower the right knee and foot. Last one, we'll release the knee and let's let the hips move forward and back. Let's come back up into our table and we'll switch to the opposite side. We're pressing into the right knee, both hands, we're lifting the left knee, and then we'll lift the knee and the foot out to the side and then draw it back down next to the right. Gaze stays on the floor. And when you're ready to release, find your most comfortable child's pose. Take a breath or two here. Our next sequence is going to be a very slow flow from downward facing dog to upward facing dog to child's pose. So take one more breath here in child's pose. Then let your next inhale bring you back up to table. We'll curl the toes under, press the feet and toes into the floor, lift the hips and knees up and back, and come up into downward facing dog. Let your next inhale lift your head, lift your gaze to your hands. Walk your hands slightly forward, lower your hips to the floor, placing your wrists underneath your shoulders. Upward facing dog. Find extension through the back of the head. Strong in the arms holding you up. Exhale to come back into child's pose. Arms elevated over the head, but relaxed on the floor, palms down. The next inhale lifts you back to table. Curling under the toes, come up into downward facing dog. Take a breath or two here. Move at your own pace into upward dog. And then find your way into child's pose. Excuse me. Moving up into table as you're ready. Stretching the hamstrings, the back part of the spine, and downward facing dog. Stretching the front part of the body, the hips, the legs, the torso. And then resting. Hips back on heels, child's pose. And as you're ready, keep moving. We'll all meet in child's pose. Taking 3 more breaths here. On the next inhale, find your way to standing, either through down dog and then a forward fold, or by finding your way to a high kneel and then coming into your mountain pose. And we can walk around our mat flat-footed. And we'll come to the center. And let's rock onto our toes. And then slowly lower our heels. Let's do this a few times. Trying to slow it down on the heel lift and trying to slow it down on the heel lower. Lowering, I should say. And now let's add some sun breaths to this movement. So when you're ready, inhale your arms up overhead, palms come together as the heels come to their highest level. As you exhale, we'll lower the arms, slowly lowering the heels as well, until all our weight is in the soles of the feet. Inhaling, pressing all the weight up into the toes. Exhaling, returning the weight evenly across the sole of the foot. Last one. And let's grab our block. We're going to place the block in between our knees, standing in mountain pose. Feet are hip distance apart, even with one another. Toes and heels are even. And the major joints are stacked from the ankle to the knee to the hips to the shoulders. Let's release down and back into chair by beginning to bend the knees, send the hips down and back behind you. I'll turn to the side to show you what this should look like. Meanwhile, knees are pressing into the block. The spine is straight and the chin is lowered so that it's perpendicular to the rest of the body. And when you need to release, press down through the feet and lift up through the torso, leading with the crown of your head, and straighten the knees. Standing back in mountain pose again. And let's sink down and back into our chair one more time, this time placing our hands on our hips or waist. Holding here, although we're breathing, pressing evenly into all four corners of the feet. Inhale to lift back up, straightening through the spine and the top of the crown of the head. From here, let's release the block and we'll come to the top of our mat. The next inhale lifts the arms slowly up overhead in a sun breath. Exhale, bend your elbows and knees and come into a forward fold. Knees are bent. Abdomen's resting on the thighs. Inhale, come up halfway, straighten the legs. Extend the tailbone one direction, crown of the head the opposite direction. Exhale, release the body, plant the palms, and step the feet back into plank. Hold here in plank. And then exhale, releasing down to the floor. Knees come down, hips, shoulders. Hands remain right under the shoulders. Elbows are tucked into the sides. We'll inhale and come up into cobra, or if you'd like, come up into sphinx. Take a breath or two here. Letting the front half of the body stretch as you're lifting the head up away from the shoulders. We'll exhale, release the body back down to the floor, replace the hands underneath the shoulders, and we'll press back up into half plank or plank. And then we'll come into downward facing dog. We'll step the left foot forward, then the right, and we're back in our forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, release into the forward fold. Inhale, we're going to come up into chair. So we'll inhale, lift the head, neck, and chest. Bring ourselves into that seated back shape. And then we'll inhale, arms come out to the side. We'll start to straighten our knees. Arms come up overhead, palms come together. We'll exhale, our hands come down to our heart. Let's take a breath or two here. And then we'll move to the other side. Relax your hands, shoulders back and down, away from the ears. We'll inhale, lifting the arms up overhead, sun breath. Exhale, nose dive, forward fold. Bend the knees, release the upper body. Inhale, come up halfway. Straighten the knees, hands on shins or thighs. Exhale, ground the hands down, and we'll step back into plank or half plank. Take a few breaths here. And then exhale, lowering the body to the floor. Inhale, coming up into Sphinx or Cobra. Exhale, releasing head, neck, and spine. Hands come back underneath shoulders. We'll come up to half plank again or plank. Then come into downward facing dog. We'll step that right foot forward, then the left, coming into a forward fold. Inhale, we'll come halfway up. Exhale, we'll release into the forward fold again. Inhale, back to our chair pose. Pressing through the feet on the next inhale, straightening the legs, arms come out to the side, up overhead and together. Palms come to the heart on the next exhale. All right, grab the block once again. Place it between your knees, find your mountain pose. This time, we'll sink back into chair again. And you can lift your hands to your waist, keep them on your thighs, or lift them shoulder height. Breathe as extended, slowly and smoothly as you can. And when you're ready to release, press down through the feet, lift up through the arms and hands. Exhale, hands to the heart. Take a breath or two in mountain again. And then let's do chair one final time. As you release your hips back and down, find the placement for the hands, perhaps having them lifted a little more this time, or perhaps bringing your hips lower. Taking a few breaths. When you're ready to release, pressing down through the feet, lifting up through the hips and shoulders. Hands come together. Exhale. Hands come to the heart. And we'll remove the block. Coming up to the top of the mat, find your mountain again. Arms down by your sides. Shoulders back and down away from the ears. Jaw released. Let's step our left foot back behind us, taking 1 to 2 steps. We'll lift the heel up off the mat and really ground the toes and the ball of the foot into the floor. Let's find our high lunge from this standing point. And we can leave our hands by our sides, at our hips. We can inhale, hands to heart. We can lift one or both arms towards the sky. Let's exhale, drawing the hands down, leaning the upper body forward, coming into arrow. And then making our way by coming up onto those back toes into warrior three. We can pause to grab our blocks. We can come to our high lunge. Find our arrowhead. Find the hands on the blocks. Come off of that back foot and lift the leg parallel to the ground at hip height. Maybe swing one or both arms up like an airplane. And then we'll release the leg. Let's find that forward fold again. Inhale, pressing down through the feet, lifting up through the torso. Hands come together. Exhale, hands come to the heart. Back at the top of the mat. This time we'll step the right foot back. Find your high lunge leg position. Find the stability on your mat here. Pressing down towards the floor, grounded from the waist down, but lifting from the waist up. Inhaling hands anywhere it's comfortable. Breathing. Coming from here into arrowhead, leaning forward, hands drop and reach back towards that back heel. And then we'll release hands to blocks or perhaps the floor and come into the warrior three. Releasing that back leg. Coming back into our high lunge. Repeating this short sequence twice on each side. Moving from high lunge to arrow. To warrior three. And then releasing. That right foot comes down next to the left. Release into a forward fold once again. Press down through both feet, lift up to standing arms. Come overhead, palms together. Exhale, hands to the heart. And take a breath here, scanning the body for how you feel. Let's make our way onto our mat for our cool down. We can come onto our backs. Let's lie flat on the floor, either stretching the legs out or bending up through each knee. Take a few breaths in a resting position. On the next inhale, bend up through each knee, coming on to the sole of each foot. Let's draw just the right knee into the chest, wind relieving pose on the right side. As you hold this right knee in with your arms, let's point, flex, and wiggle the foot. With the next inhale, lift this foot towards the sky. Point and flex here, wiggle the toes, roll the ankles. And then let's exhale, drawing that right knee out to the side and bringing the ankle right on top of that left thigh, right by the knee. We'll begin to push the right thigh away with our right palm. We can stay here, gently providing this stretch with our hand, or we can lift the left foot off the mat, draw that left thigh close to us, interlace our fingers behind it, and draw the legs in towards the body. From here, let's move into shoelace by further crossing that right leg and knee over the left. And then we'll run our fingers down the front of the shin, grabbing the ankles or foot and drawing the feet in towards the hips. Let the next exhale unwind your feet, letting go with the hands. And let's float both feet back onto the mat, knees bent to the sky. Moving to the other side with wind relieving pose. Left knee comes in towards the chest, wiggling the foot. Good. And then reaching that left foot towards the sky, continuing to wiggle and roll, maybe supporting the leg with the hands. And then we'll bend that left knee out, coming into our piriformis stretch here, taking our palm, moving the thigh away from the body. And then perhaps staying here or drawing the leg in, both legs, interlacing the hands behind the right thigh, lifting the right foot, hugging both legs in here. Pressing through that left heel. And then coming into shoestring, crossing that left leg over the right even more, reaching towards the bottoms of the legs, tops of the feet, drawing the feet in towards the hips. And then releasing, uncrossing, finding that bent knee spot back on the mat. Let's begin to move into windshield wipers. Each exhale lowers the knees to one side. Each inhale lifts the knees back to center. Arms are shoulder height. Palms are facing the floor. And the feet are hip distance apart. Next time the knees are up towards the sky, walk the feet out wide and start your windshield wipers again. Noticing the wider surface area that you're rocking side to side with. And the next time the knees are back up towards the ceiling, walk your feet back together and we'll roll onto one side with the bottom part of our body coming into a two-kneed twist. Let the knees fall over one direction and then turn your chin the opposite way, grounded through both shoulders. heavy on the mat and the floor. And as you take in your next inhale, go ahead and lift the knees, lift the chin, and we'll set up our twist with both knees bent on the opposite side. Chin rolls away from the bent knees. Both shoulders completely grounded here. Let the next inhale bring your knees both back up to center, chin comes back up to center. And let's move into a student choice shape. So listen to your body, figure out what your body might want to do. Maybe it's knee circles. Maybe you'd rather move your feet, do a yoga walk, a full body stretch. Happy baby, 5-star, reclined, anything that would make your body feel wonderful in these last moments of class. Breathing slowly, still, smoothly, even if what you're doing requires movement or makes you feel like doing some sort of movement within your shape. And then as you're ready, taking your time, setting your body up in the most comfortable way that you can. Legs straight in corpse pose, or knees bent, feet wide in constructive rest. Kneecaps resting upon each other, or legs, the sides of the legs can rest on each other. Start to feel your body releasing even more here. Your awareness on your breath. Scanning the body. Watch where it feels like your breath is going. Smoothing the transitions between the inhales and the exhales, and between the exhales and the next round. remembering to come back to your breath as any thoughts, feelings, or emotions carry you away. Trying to stay present as much as possible. Now become aware of your body lying on your mat. Become aware of the clothes you're wearing, your hair, your face. Watch yourself breathing, sinking, relaxing even more. As you're ready to begin to move, slowly start to rock your head from left to right. Slowly drawing your chin to each shoulder, back to the center. And then we'll move our chin back to the center. Hold it there. And let's slowly make our way onto one side, stacking our shoulders, our hips, our arms, and our legs. Maybe using the lower arm to make a little pillow for the head. So we lay on our side and breathe. Take 2 more breaths here. And then we'll inhale and slowly lift ourselves up into a comfortable seated position. Perhaps using a block, a towel, or a blanket to elevate the hips once more. Pressing down into both sits bones, lifting up through the spine as we sit in a aligned position. Let's release our arms down by our side. We'll inhale, lifting the arms up and out over the head. Palms come together. As we exhale, we'll release our hands to our heart, closing down the eyes, lowering the chin towards the chest, stretching out the back of the neck as we bow to the divine goddess found in each one of us. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Let your next inhale lift your chin, flutter open your eyes, release your hands, and thank you all so much for joining me in this gentle practice. And Stretch and I hope to see you next week. Take care.